So, here's the thing that I will say, and I've said it in so many videos that I've done and on Woke AF, is that Joe Biden wasn't my first choice and he wasn't my fifth choice. And this was
your sixth choice?
And no. He was at the very back of the Democratic primary clown car. And the reason for that is this, that Joe Biden is a statesman from another time, and that time has long been gone, dead and buried. And the very idea that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is and Cori Bush, and the younger BIPOC members of the House and of the Democratic Party are the only ones that see some type of urgency, that are offering up any types of solutions, that are saying that the American people just want to know that if we are going to be asking for their vote, that we are going to use the power that they give us, right? And that we are going to actually put up a fucking fight. Because here's the thing that we tell small children, right, is that at least you try, right? Don't just sit down and say that seems hard, that jungle gym team seems too high to climb, or this test seems so hard, but I'm not going to study for it. At the very least, put in an attempt. Because then you can say to yourself, I did the best that I can. But it seems to me that the octogenarians that are in control of the Democratic Party, who are also all very white, very privileged, and very wealthy, could give two shits. That they think that they are still existing with the 20th century model of the Republican Party and not the radicalized, violent cult that we know that they are. Just put it into perspective. As I'm listening to the fact that Donald Trump knew that these people were armed. And not only did he know that they were armed, they weren't armed with rocks, right? They were armed with brass knuckles, AR-15s, knives, zip ties, bear spray, tear gas, guns, right? So he knew that these people that were standing in front of him on the ellipses were a militia. Right? Were his militia that he asked to stand back and stand by, and he sent them out. And Democrats are not outraged by this. There was no one that came out and said, oh my God, dear America, like you are in danger of losing your republic to a madman who is willing to turn citizen on citizen in order to maintain power, and the danger that we are still in. No one is saying that. I get fucking text messages since Friday from Nancy Pelosi. I've gotten 5. And I refuse to give the Democratic Party any of my money ever again until I see them take any type of goddamn action. And so you have Republicans saying, I'm surprised they're not more upset. And the rest of us are just like, well, who are we voting for and why?
Yeah. Yeah, and look, I don't know about you, Danielle, but I get a lot of heat, especially this week, from a lot of liberals and Democrats on Twitter when I criticize the Democratic Party. I think
all the time.
Yeah. I'm like, look, this is my take on this. These are elected officials. They're not gods. I'm not going to bend the knee to any political party or elected official. I reserve the right to criticize them because if you pressure them, then you incentivize them to do the right thing. I'm old enough, and I think, Danielle, you and I are both old heads, that in this month, I think it's still Pride Month, believe it or not, the Democrats did not embrace the gays. In fact, even Obama in his first term, they weren't like, yay, gay marriage, yay, pride marches. No, it's because the country wasn't there yet. And once they saw the tide turn, now it's like, oh, we love you. You're a gay. There's a gay. Let me go hug a gay. Let me go march with a gay. I'll be gay. Who's gay? Let's everyone be gay, right? It's because they realize, oh, there's pressure now, and I can't afford to be on the wrong side of history. So we have to pressure the Democrats. What I always say is this: we are hijacked by a radicalized and weaponized minority, the Republican Party. If you think Danielle and I do not criticize the Republican Party, you obviously do not pay attention to our podcast, to our articles, to our social media tweets, or to our cable news appearances. At the same time, though, I don't think we should be hijacked by the Democratic Party, because right now what the Democratic Party is saying is vote for us. And I say, this is all I'm saying. Yes, there's no both sides. Both parties are not the same. Okay, we don't have to go through the laundry list. I'll just give you one. One side believes in climate change. The other thinks it's a hoax created by China. That's enough for me. But I want us to vote for the right Democrats. I don't need another Manchin. I don't need another cinema, just like I don't need another belly button. Okay, no offense to those people who have 2 belly buttons. But these people are useless. I need 2 extra Democrats who are committed publicly to getting rid of the filibuster, passing voting rights, codifying Roe v. Wade, protecting contraception, and fighting against climate change and making sure that our kids aren't killed in schools, right? I need those 2 extra Democrats in the Senate who promise me and show me they're willing to fight, at least rhetorically, against a vulgarian extremist Republican Party that is fully united against an ongoing coup. I do not need another Manchin. So if you're telling me that my choice is to be hijacked by an extremist minority Republican Party, or hijacked by a milquetoast vanilla Democratic Party that refuses to fight, I'm going to say, nope, I'm not going to support you. I'm going to support the primary. I'm going to support the opponent who's willing to fight. Give me a people like AOC. Give me someone like Cory Bush. Give me someone like Warren. Give me even someone like Murphy, who's doing his job in like, a purplish state, right? Give me a fighter, because right now, it's been a historic trend. Black and brown people, let's be honest about it. Black, browns, and Asians have been tokenized by the Democratic Party.
Yes.
These darkies won't leave us. Where are these darkies going to go? We know you, darky, you won't go for the Republican Party. So vote for us, and we're going to put you second, and then we're going to court the wealthy and the white moderates who have abandoned us, because we know you're going to vote for us anyway. And now you're seeing the depression in the black vote, right?
Yep.
You see like 70%. You're seeing the depression in the Asian vote. You're seeing the depression in the Latino vote, because people are like, dude, if you ain't fine for me, what's the point? I'm dying anyway.
Right. And I think that is such a crystallized message, Waj, because the fact is that, we have always been fighting. Our communities have always been fighting. We have always had to figure out how to protect each other, because the government has never been set up to protect us and to care for us. Police are not there to protect and serve, right? They're there to obstruct and oppress. And so when we realize these things, that we're sending these leaders to do absolutely nothing, they're not even putting us second. They're putting us like fifth, right? Down the list of how they're filling their pockets, what their PACs are doing, and how and tap dancing for shareholders and CEOs. We see that. And so Democrats, the response is these text messages from Nancy Pelosi and the rest of them that tell me we need to vote. And the smart thing that AOC said this week, among many things, was how many votes you need? What are you telling us to vote for? Where are you telling us to vote? Right? How much do you need in order to have the supermajority for you to do a goddamn thing? Right? Don't just tell people to vote, because guess what? We voted in historic numbers in 2022. We voted and gave you a blue tsunami in 2018. We voted, right? So I'm confused about how we have allowed this administration and this party, when they fuck up, to continue to put the burden back on the people. Oh, it's that we didn't send enough Democrats in. We didn't do enough is what is what I hear when I continue to hear them say, oh, you just need to vote.
Well, that's what happened in Virginia. Remember, they blamed black voters. How come the black voters didn't come out? How come the brown voters didn't come out? How come you guys didn't rally behind Terry McAuliffe? And by the way, they did. But as we've said before, they just ran a lame-ass campaign, didn't put any effort, had no counter message, had no response to Youngkin and CRT, just thought they'd waltz their way through, and voila, what happened? They lost the suburban votes, and the suburban whites went for Youngkin, like they usually do, right? And of course, they put us second, and they're terrified of their own shadow because their shadow's black, and then they'll blame us for not doing enough, even though black and brown voters, especially black voters and poor black voters, during a pandemic risk getting COVID. To vote for these Democrats, as the Supreme Court justices sat there from their home and zoomed in their opinions. Remember that? The Supreme Court said, no, you blacks, you got to go vote in public during a pandemic pre-vaccine. But by the way, we'll just stay at home. And so when people see that, they're like, they get depressed. People want to see a fight. And I think what AOC did, you keep mentioning AOC, for people who don't know, AOC went on Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
So good.
On Wednesday night. And you should watch this clip that Late Show itself actually promoted. It's only 3 minutes. And what she does is the following. She goes up there and she connects the dots. She says, if you give us the votes, what we will give you is the following. We have to come out forcefully against the filibuster. Once we get rid of the filibuster, then we can codify Roe v. Wade. Then we can protect contraception. He goes, this is what Biden has to do. He has to threaten, just like FDR threatened historically, to expand the courts. When the courts were going against FDR's New Deal, he made the threat, and what did they do? They buckled. This has happened before historically. The Confederate, owned Supreme Court went after Lincoln. What did Lincoln do? He flexed with the Emancipation Proclamation. So what she did is she connected the dots. She communicated what could be done. She gave you a pathway, and then she gave some people hope. And then she ended with the fact, which you already articulated, at least fight. And I mentioned this example again, Mallory McMurrow. This no-name state senator from Boston, why is she now on the airwaves? Why did she get a record number of donations? Why did she get like a huge boost in social media? Because she released a 4-minute clip where she finally fought back against these bullshit allegations that called her a pedophile. Danielle, you and me, we're old enough to remember back in the day that if someone called you a pedophile, those were fighting words.
Yep.
But the Democratic Party, according to a Vice article recently, said, we think we're going to ignore this. We're just going to let them call us this because we don't put attention to it. Look at Fetterman. The last thing I'll say, Fetterman, this dude almost died. This dude's literally in the hospital and people are like, you know what? We'll go for this guy who almost died because at least he's showing a fight rather than the Democrat manufactured Connor Lamb, who seems like he came out of a weird science movie that they literally nerd Democrats created on the computer. So that's an example that literally when you say this, Danielle, we have living examples in front of us. People want to see a fight.
People, and so just to put another point on this, Vice President Kamala Harris did an exclusive interview on CNN with Dana Bash, right? And I just want people to listen to the question that Dana Bash posed. Bash says this: what do you say to Democratic voters who say, wait a minute, we worked really hard to elect a Democratic president and a vice president, a Democratic-led House, a Democratic-led Senate. Do it now. Harris' response, do what now? I'm not kidding.
I know. It's painful.